Antonina Antosha with the latest news from Ukraine. Here are the headlines. Silk Road partners, Ukrainian and Chinese, agreed to strengthen cooperation during talks in Davos. Antonov in Europe, Ukraine's iconic aviation brand steps closer to EU certification breakthrough. Some welcome news from the Economic Forum in Davos. Switzerland will provide Ukraine with $100 million in financial support. Earlier today, also at Davos, Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko met with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping to discuss bilateral ties. UATV's Tamara Rozovan has the details.
Ukraine may soon become a vital commercial link between China and Europe. The new Silk Road has been one of the main talking points in a meeting between Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The route connects Ukraine and Asia while bypassing Russia. It's 2 times shorter, and it's hoped that it will eventually become one of Europe's main transportation hubs of oil and natural gas. The meeting between the two leaders comes on the sidelines of the Davos Economic Forum in Switzerland.
I think that this is a historic moment of the 25th anniversary of our diplomatic relation, and our joint statement would be very important for both for Ukraine and for China.
Ukraine is also planning to play a key role in China's One Belt, One Path initiative. The program will see new investment opportunities in agriculture and technology sector. The Silk Road was launched in 2015 after Moscow imposed a ban on goods from Ukraine. The EU and China are becoming 2 of Ukraine's most lucrative markets.
Now, moving on to a developing story this evening. Ukraine's case against Russia has been registered by the UN's International Court of Justice. Just yesterday, Kyiv filed charges against Moscow for, quote, acts of terrorism and discrimination related to the war in Donbass and human rights violations in Crimea. What could this mean for the ongoing conflict? Our correspondent Tom Bell has more.
Ukraine is currently living through the 3rd winter of a hybrid war with Russia. Moscow sent troops into Crimea in early 2014 before expanding its intervention into eastern Ukraine in the following months. However, the Kremlin continues to deny any role in the conflict, which has already cost over 10,000 lives. Ukraine's appeal to The Hague is the latest attempt to break through this wall of denials. Kyiv accuses Russia of violating a UN treaty on financing acts of terrorism by supplying combined Russian army troops and separatist forces with weapons and other forms of assistance. A fact documented not just by Ukraine, NATO and the EU, but by international journalists, human rights groups and NGOs on the ground. Just hours ago, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Pavlo Klimkin gave his first indication of how long we may have to wait before a verdict in the case against Russia is reached. He said, "We know that such hearings sometimes last for several years. We understand Russia will use all means to resist, but we believe that we have enough evidence and all international legal precedents on our side. Most importantly, our case is backed by truth and moral law." In November last year, the International Criminal Court in The Hague published a preliminary report identifying Russia as a party in the Donbass conflict and an occupying power in Crimea. The report could pave the way for a proper investigation into Moscow's hybrid war in Ukraine, although war crimes convictions could take many years.
The president of Kosovo has accused Serbia of planning a Crimean scenario in northern Kosovo. President Hashim Thaçi's remarks follow a confrontation late last week when a train left Belgrade, destined for northern Kosovo, adorned with Serbian nationalist slogans. The train was supplied by Russia, heightening concerns that Moscow is seeking to increase tensions in the Balkans. The president of Kosovo's references to Crimea will particularly be alarming for the international community. Russian soldiers without insignias seized Crimea in early 2014 in the wake of Ukraine's Euromaidan revolution. Despite international condemnation of the move, Moscow has sought to justify the annexation by pointing to support among the peninsula's ethnic Russian majority. Northern Kosovo has a large ethnic Serbian population, raising fears that Belgrade may seek to repeat the Kremlin's Crimean tactics. Russia has been unable to gain international recognition for its Crimean takeover. In November 2016, the United Nations acknowledged Russia as an occupying power in Crimea. Ukrainian aircraft producer Antonov is set to increase its European market presence thanks to a new EU certification breakthrough. The deal comes at a time when Antonov is looking to broaden its horizons and move away from its traditional reliance on Russian markets. UATV's Christopher Atwood has more.
Ukraine's famous aircraft manufacturer, Antonov, will soon be selling its world-renowned planes to companies all over Europe. The 70-year-old company is looking to align with EU aircraft standards. The European Union will help Antonov, as well as other Ukrainian aviation industry manufacturers, achieve this goal by providing €3 million in funding. Ukraine's infrastructure minister stressed the significance of the deal. The State Aviation Administration of Ukraine and the European Commission have signed an agreement on the convergence of certification systems. This document is very important for the future certification of Antonov aircraft in the European Union and the whole world. Antonov is an iconic Ukrainian brand that dominates the oversized and heavyweight cargo markets and has seen a resurgence in recent years. In 2016, the company struck a deal with China. The lucrative agreement will lead to renewed production of the world's biggest plane, the AN-225 Mriya, under license from Antonov. In December of last year, the state-owned enterprise unveiled its newest prototype, the AN-132. The new transport and cargo plane is being developed jointly by Antonov and Saudi Arabia, who also sent representatives to Monday's EU certification briefing. Henrik Hololai, Director General of Mobility and Transport for the European Commission, explained what the new deal may mean for the future of European-Ukrainian cooperation.
The cool thing about transport is that transport matters, and transport is there in order to bring together businesses, but most importantly, people. Good cooperation in transport means also much more possibilities, much more trade, and much more tourism.
The certification breakthrough is seen as the result of the country's ongoing dialogue with the EU on the development of transport cooperation. Antonov's production of EU-certified aircraft models is expected to strengthen Ukraine's economic ties with the 28-nation bloc.
As Christmas celebrations finally wind down in Ukraine, the country's defenders have been honored with a special festive concert. Families and combat veterans came together at an event designed to show appreciation for the sacrifices made defending the country against Russia's hybrid war. Our correspondent, Tamara Rozovan, joined the festive cheer.
Carols for the defenders of Ukraine. The country's National History Museum is the scene for a special festive concert for troops and their families. Five Ukrainian folk groups provide seasonal melodies. Adults and children are here sharing the holiday spirit and reminiscing about time-honored Ukrainian traditions. For centuries, Ukrainian villagers would go from house to house caroling, wishing each other happy holidays, wealth, and of course love in the coming year. The celebration was the final part of an initiative called If Not for the War. Look at these portraits of people who went to war. Look at how great these people are. I think today's concert is a good cause, and it's also a great way to help make museums popular. We organized this holiday for the families of soldiers, for those who volunteered to defend Ukraine, and for families of the Heavenly Hundred killed during the Euromaidan Revolution. We want them all to feel our gratitude for keeping us and Ukraine safe. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I think we need more events like this where people can share Ukrainian folk traditions.
A true masterpiece underground. Kyiv's Golden Gate metro station is considered one of the most stunning in Europe. The platform is lined with mosaics, grand chandeliers and massive columns, making it a cultural monument to Ukrainian heritage. UATV's correspondent has more.
Some 25,000 commuters use the Golden Gate metro station in Kiev every single day. The intricate mosaics and grand chandeliers make it hard to believe the station was built only 20 years ago. At the time of the Soviet Union, the decor of the metro station was seen as a somewhat risky move. According to the original plans made by Russian architects, the design was supposed to be a replica of a Moscow station. But the growing social changes in Ukraine during the 1980s helped push the local authorities to allow architect Vadim Zhizherin bring one of his designs to life. The original blueprint had grey granite walls and very gloomy atmosphere, according to Zhizherin. Changing the design and creating something completely different was one of the toughest jobs of his career. It all started after the city's main architect approached him in the summer of 1989 and gave him a week to present an original design for a metro station. We talked for a bit and then he said, "You have to create a different version of the design and you have approximately a week to do it." Zhizherin worked with his father and several artists to create large mosaic panels depicting different historical figures as well as the patron saint of Kiev, Michael the Archangel. The team kept the Soviet authorities in the dark on their designs up until the very end. One of the mosaic panels includes a patriotic inscription, "Glory to Ukraine." This was perhaps their most precarious decision. During the Soviet Union, displaying Ukrainian patriotic slogans landed people in prison. When we were making the top part of the lobby, one of the men who was laying out the mosaics called me over. He said, "Sir, come over here and see what we've made." I got to where they were and saw that they had made an inscription saying, "Glory to Ukraine." Each corner of the Golden Gate metro station has a number of unique features. It's easy to see it was designed with the commuter in mind. Now at the Kiev Metro Museum, the patriotic inscription is remembered by its workers to this day. This inscription exists and nobody has tried to remove it or put something over it, because this is how one person expressed their views towards the authorities at the time. The metro station has over 80 mosaics which represent the history of the Kievan Rus. It was the first East Slavic state where Kiev was the capital. The mosaics depict 27 of its rulers. Other mosaics portray some of Kiev's ancient churches as well as mythical creatures from the East Slavic mythology. All of the designs were made in secret and later built into the station's walls. After weeks of hard work, the head of the Kiev administration came to see the design. I didn't dare come too close to him. I didn't want him to kill me. He said, "What have you done?" And I said, "What? Is it bad?" And he said, "It's genius." On December 31st, 1989, Golden Gate metro station was unveiled to the public. Zhizherin and his father stayed behind at the station after the celebrations to admire their work. This is when they started seeing some of the first commuters coming down the escalators. This would be the first time ordinary people would see the stunning design. It was so nice when a group of people, men, women and children at the end of the hall started singing. They started singing Ukrainian songs. 2 years later, the authors of the design received awards from the government. Since that time, the metro station has gone down in history books as one of the most beautiful metro stations in the world. In 2015, Kiev's Golden Gate was rated as the 17th most beautiful metro station out of 20. One well-traveled Kiev resident said he believes that there's no equal metro station in the world. In 2011, when I traveled to Minsk and compared Golden Gate to the other ones in the world, I realized that ours is the best. The station was named after Kiev's 11th century fortification, which towers over one of the metro's exits. The structure was built based on the Golden Gate in Constantinople. It's no wonder the Golden Gate metro station is now a significant symbol of Ukraine's cultural heritage.
Over 200 athletes take part in the Nordic Skiing World Cup in a new venue in Western Center, Ukraine. The competition provides participants with an opportunity to prepare for the 2018 Winter Paralympic Games. UATV's Alex Gupta has more.
Paralympic athletes from 18 countries are competing in biathlon and cross-country skiing in the Ukrainian Carpathians. The IPC Nordic Skiing World Cup takes place in the village of Yavoriv, Lviv region on January 13th through the 20th. Participants of the competition show their will to win, despite unfavorable weather conditions. People who have overcome life challenges know how to survive and win. There is nothing impossible for them. Paralympic athletes from Ukraine, Germany, and France are leading in the rankings, but all the teams are trying to do their best.
We understand that, but we hope that here in Brazil that we can show that it's possible to practice and do to develop the winter sports also in countries that we don't have so much snow.
The Ukrainian Paralympic team ranks first in the overall cross-country skiing and biathlon rankings. In Vuokatti, Finland, during the first World Cup, the Ukrainian team also took first place. Natalia Rubanovska won a silver medal in Finland. We will overcome all the difficulties on our path to victory. Everyone in our team is strong in their own way. Everyone can show great results. Everything depends on us. We should fight and try to show our best. Paralympic athletes are grouped into 3 general disability types: visually, physically, and mentally impaired. Visually impaired participants are competing not only in cross-country skiing, but also in the biathlon. I am pleasantly surprised that athletes from Brazil, Korea, Japan, Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and China came to our Western Center to participate in the World Cup. The only thing that could improve is the weather. I don't remember such severe frosts and winds when the center was constructed. The IPC Nordic Skiing World Cup finishes on January 20th. It is a great opportunity for athletes to prepare for the 2018 World Paralympic Games, which will be held in South Korea. In February, athletes will compete in the World Para-Nordic Skiing Championships in Finstero, Germany.
That's the latest news from Ukraine. Thank you for watching. For more information, join UATV tomorrow.